websites of the past have. And these are probably, also this title should be Susan's Pet Peeves when it comes to economic development websites, things that drive me crazy. So the first thing is that they are generic. Sometimes we'll go on websites and I'll be like, where is this? And they say things like, oh, we have a great quality of life, and we have industry, and we have people who live here. And I'm like, where are you? Like, what? So they're very generic. They don't offer any substance. So that's one pet peeve. They are built on outdated frameworks. So sometimes I'll go look at sites and I'll be like, was this built in 2009? Like, when was this built? Somebody just showed me a site. You guys remember that movie Space Jam, like from years ago? That website is still apparently up, and it looks exactly the same as it did when it came out. But that's sometimes I see economic development websites and I might have a wall of shame that I might be posting these to, that I say, yep, this is built on an outdated framework. Another thing, they are withholding. Julie talked a little bit earlier about contact information and how you have to search on a site to find the contact. That still is an issue on economic development websites where you're like, I don't know who to call, I don't know who to reach out to, I can't find the right resource, it's a general email, will they return my call? We see that a lot on economic development websites. And as part of our relationship building of this industry, it's imperative that you have contact information. Another thing, they target the wrong audience. So a lot of these sites will be built for stakeholders where they're like, oh, the stakeholder wanted this page up that makes no sense, but we want to have it up there front and center because this stakeholder told us that they needed to have that page about their event that's coming in about 6 months. They need to have it up. And that is not relevant to your audience, but a lot of times I see that people will cater to their to the squeaky wheels the most. And finally, they report vanity metrics. So they're like, oh, we had people come to the site, this is how many people came, we had lots of impressions, but they don't dive down into the details of what's happening on the site. Are they going to the right pages? Are they going to the workforce pages? Are they going to the incentives pages? A lot of times you'll see that people just report on the overall, just, oh, we had people come to the site and it was good. This is such an effective tool to help you tell your story. Making sure you're selling the success of it back to your stakeholders will ultimately help your funding too. So those are kind of my pet peeves. And I want to do a quick pulse check, not literally, but figuratively with you all right now to see, and we're going to try this out. We're going to do a little poll. I don't know if it's going to show on my screen. It's not, so 1 second. All right. We are pulling up. Changes. All right. We are going to take a poll right now. So it's a little complicated at first and then it gets easier. So if you see at the very top, it says text Intisar Wilso 762. So if everybody could pull out your phones and text INT as in Tom, ISAR WILSO 762. And then to the number 37607. So text the number 37607. Inside your text box, put Intisar Wilso 762. And when you click send, it will then tell you you're joined. Is everybody there? No? Okay, we're still, okay. I'll use Julie as my litmus test to see how she goes. Yeah, you're starting a new text to 37607. Wow, we have somebody, good job, whoever you were. So here we want you to answer by texting, after you're joined, text ABC. And A is, oh man, all 5 of those described our website. I'm currently overwhelmed and sitting in a corner crying. Or someone just told me at the lunch break they felt like their website was basically, a nuclear bomb. So that could be A. B C is like, one or two of those described our website, but I think a few minor tweaks will be okay. And then C, whoever is C, they're perfect. So they can just leave this session right now. You guys are good. Is anybody having trouble with the texting function? I'll give it a few more minutes, and then we'll see the final results. But it's looking pretty much 50, a quarter, 50%, and then the rest are, so some need help, a quarter of you need help, a lot of help, and we can come over and I'll give you a tissue after this. Some of you, just a few tweaks, so this next part will be good, just a few tweaks. Awesome. All right. Go back. All right, so thanks for that quick pulse check. You guys are still alive, is basically, your sites are still alive. Some of your sites are dead, but that's okay. We can revive them. So let's talk about the economic development website of the future and what we're seeing that's really important to help tell your story. Oh yes, sure. I don't know why you guys can see no notes, so I'm just going on my own. Let's see. I don't know how that works. Let's try it again. Go. Thanks, Jules. Blank screen. That is also a pet peeve of websites for me, is when there's a blank screen that means nothing. There you go. Good job. So, economic development websites of the future include the basics. That is, it's not even a futuristic concept. But we saw from Julie's presentation earlier today about the data that site selectors, corporate executives care about. We heard from Brian, when he said the keywords that he searches, Steve and I were like, oh, this is what we've been telling people. They basically search the name of your city plus workforce, the name of your city plus demographic, the name of your city plus incentives. Ensuring that you have that data on your website is critical. Ensuring that you have that content that talks about that is critical. So again, it's all about incentive information, demographic information, sites and buildings. They want to know about workforce. They want to know about major employers. That's a gap we see a lot. People don't have a list of their major employers. They don't have a list of their major employers by industry. That's an opportunity to fix. Another thing, again, we talked about one of my pet peeves is that it's just like, oh, the site reports to everybody, tells everything to everybody, tries to be everything to everyone. What we're seeing is a shift to being more specific, to having experiences specific for industry companies, experiences specific to if you're a chamber or you have investors, experiences and content related to those different audiences. And you're drawing the person down the right path. Here's a couple examples to give you some insight on how others are doing it. You'll see that Asheville on your left, so they're a chamber and economic development organization. They actually have, when you land on their homepage, they say, hey, are you here for the chamber or are you here for the economic development side of things? And then they drive you down to where you need to go so that they don't land. A lot of sites will see, and I don't know if anybody's feeling this about your site, when you land on the homepage, I'll see like 20 things across the navigation that are like sites and buildings, site selectors, corporate executives, local people, and businesses, and it's like, I don't even know where to start. There's so many. So these are really trying to force people to go down the right path and not get frustrated. And what you see is engagement picks up. Another thing, Charlotte's Backyard, they were targeting manufacturing, potential manufacturing employees. So what they did, their whole site is about manufacturing and working in Charlotte. So they were very specific with their message. And they were specific in that Cleveland County is in Charlotte's backyard. So again, back to that branding and the messaging, like hi, we're literally right in your backyard, so we're not that far away. And what's great about this site is that once they launched, they had, like within 6 months, 40 applicants were going to manufacturing companies from Charlotte. These people from Charlotte were saying, hey, I want to work in manufacturing there. Another example is targeted industry pages. This is from Calgary. So where they have a specific message and content related to a specific industry. This is all about logistics. So yes, they still have their main hub, but their industry page serves as its own landing page. Because people are going to get to your site, whether it's direct or whether it's through Google, they're searching. We want people, when they get to their site, to know everything that they need to know. So this site very much was about the logistics industry and the logistics industry only for Calgary. So they're specific. The other thing, they bring data to life. I know when I started in economic development 12 years ago, it was like, oh, we're very data driven and it's very boring and yeah, you know, it's just charts and graphs. It is just charts and graphs, but it's not boring. It's awesome. And I think we have a complex in economic development that the stuff we do, it's just data. But you can make data sexy. Nerds are cool. Nerds are cool now. Data's cool. So for me to see organizations that really focus on data and how to bring data to life has been really, really key. One of the things, if you're thinking of, well, what data sets do I need to have, it's so hard to keep it updated. You know, we again heard Brian, demographics, workforce statistics, population, major employers, industry stats. Definitely have those on your site, that's very critical. And I just have a couple examples of sites that do data really well. I know there are tools out there for data. These sites, actually, the data is hosted by the organization. The researcher pulls the data, and then they have it on their website. Columbus 2020, it's the columbusregion.com is the website. They do a great job with data across the whole site, and it's pies and charts, yes, but it's visual. You can see a little of their brand identity. They have rankings underneath it, and they do comparison. Comparative data is really good to do. We were just working for a city that's in California, and we were going to do a we said, hey, if you're trying to attract talent, they want to know about cost of living. And our client was like, we live in California, we have a terrible cost of living. And we were like, what if you positioned it against other tech hubs? And you started to do that, and the cost of living actually showed that this California city looked better than those other tech hubs. So it's just about how you bring the data to life. So that's columbusregion.com. This is Intersect Illinois again. You see educational attainment. They didn't want to do a comparison. So you can just showcase the data of your community. Again, a pie chart. I like though how they showcased the news. So this is on an industry page, and every time they have a relevant news article in their local paper or press release, or the company announces something, they'll post this on the website, but then it's automatically pulled into their industry page. So you start to see about, what's the latest news? This page was for their foreign direct investment page specifically. And then you can have a little fun with data. Again, Colorado, we saw their positioning statement. They wanted to showcase extraordinary people working, people playing, and you see behind the data is a very powerful image of people ice climbing in Colorado, which I don't do. Duncan, do you do it? I don't know. No, okay, cool. Yeah. Not everybody ice climbs in Colorado. So that's data. Another thing we're seeing for the economic development website of the future is they adapt. This might seem like a pretty obvious one, like a Hello McFly one, but a lot of times I'll look at economic development websites and they're not responsive. They're not built for mobile. So you'll go and they're built for desktop, and then you're like, what? It doesn't respond to my iPhone when I'm looking at it on my iPhone, or if I'm looking at it on my tablet. Yes, the majority of searches that we see corporate executives doing are on desktop. A lot of our sites have about 50% of their traffic is from mobile, but the other 50% is from a responsive tablet that the site isn't responding to. And actually, that's a good point. In the eyes of Google, if your site's not responsive, that's a ding in terms of search and optimization. So if you have a non-mobile friendly site, Google's like, this site's so 1996. So this is just an example of how it looks from a mobile perspective. And then adapt in terms of the internet. The laws are changing all the time. GDPR, which it doesn't really affect, it will eventually affect us. It's the law from what happened in Europe, and basically you had to announce that you haven't used cookies on your site and we will follow you. So it's about a privacy issue. So a lot of sites have started to announce, hey, we use cookies, except, click this box closed if you accept the use of cookies. But I don't see that on any economic development sites. And you have a lot of international folks who are coming to your site, so just something to keep in mind. And going back to the beginning, they tell a great story. Yes, you can have your site up. Yes, you can have all the data, but it's also about continuing to celebrate your companies, continuing to highlight that the economy is changing, continuing to tell your story is critical. And we always look at it in key pillars. So if you feel like we have a great workforce, we have strong manufacturing industry, and we have amazing universities, then all of your content should fall into those buckets, whether you're telling a story about somebody who's working in the manufacturing industry and kicking butt, somebody who went to the university and then now is working for the manufacturing industry. You can continue to tell those stories. Again, every place has a story. And we'll hear from the media here in a little bit, but what I'm seeing too is that economic development groups have an opportunity to fill the gap that your newsrooms might not be able to write about or cover. So it's up to you to tell those stories of the good businesses. If you find yourself writing about your local paper not covering this amazing investment, guess what? You have a website, you can write a story too. So that's where I look at economic development websites. So one thing we're gonna do, we have a very brave soul. Amanda, do you wanna come up? Do you wanna come on down? We're gonna do a live analysis of a website. Amanda raised her hand and said that I could audit her website with a critical eye. So she is brave, guys. You should clap for her. This is awesome. So Amanda, I'm going to get your site up.
Okay, behind.
You're good. What did you vote? That's the question. What did you give yourself? What grade did you give yourself on that? If you could figure out the text to vote.
I didn't. I'll have to admit that not text to vote.
Okay.
But I would say slight tweaks.
Slight tweaks. So you were B. You were in the majority of our friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this is Amanda's website. Amanda, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? Tell us your story.
So I'm the Director of Economic Development for Augusta County.
I'm going to pick it up.
In the Shenandoah Valley. And I get the pleasure of working with Rebecca Castle every day. And 6 years ago, we arrived in Augusta County, and we didn't have a website. And
well, they did have a website. Ready?
We didn't have a website at all. Actually.
Was it? Oh, you didn't. So this was. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't have a website.
We didn't know.
We had no website, and we had no sites and buildings inventory, and we had no newsletter, and we had no news feed, and we had very little IT support. When we went to our IT department and said, "This is the list of things we want," they said, "We can't really help you." And we worked for the Board of Supervisors at the time, and we were given a year and $10,000 and told to go off and make a website. And for those of you who have been down this path, you know that a year when you have no IT support and you have 2 staff members and you're answering RFIs and everything else that you do when you have 2 people in your office isn't a lot of time, and $10,000 is a drop in the bucket. So we birthed the first website the best we could, I guess.
I'm gonna go back. Wait, this is a wizard machine called the Wayback Machine. Should you ever
some
need to feel
wizardry.
good about yourself, go to this and then put in a website that you saw from a long time ago. I do it a lot on DCI stuff about how valuable I am for DCI. I'll say, hey, remember when your website looked like that? This was the first iteration.
So this was, we we didn't have a lot of money, $10,000. Maybe we stretched it to 12, like going over a fiscal year or something like that. And so we really focused on content. Even when we got to the end of this process, we weren't extremely happy with the design, but we said we have something. We met the deadline of a year, and our board needed a website for economic development. So we met that. We procured, we hosted on our own server. We didn't need IT help. We figured it out, so we had checked that box. And then after that, we were able to kind of cobble together some more money over the next couple of years. Maybe we put another, maybe we started off with 10, and maybe it grew to $14,000 or $15,000, and maybe we crossed over 2 fiscal years and hired the great firm of Rick Whittington in the back of the room. Let's give a shout out to Rick Whittington. And what I'll say about Rick's firm is that, as I mentioned, Rebecca and I we weren't really happy with that first website. We checked the box, but we just weren't extremely happy with it.
I don't understand why. Look at that. It's great. It's great. It's good. It's good.
So we hired Rick's firm, and we had a meeting with them they were going to show us their first design and like their concepts. And we had some meetings with them about our vision, and Rebecca and I aren't designers. We're not graphic designers, but we are economic developers, and we know what the story we want to tell, but we just couldn't articulate how to tell a designer that wasn't necessarily in our community or didn't know us as well as Rick's firm did. And we were just having trouble with the previous firm we worked with in terms of getting them to graphically convey the message that we were trying to tell. And so we had conveyed these frustrations and had talked with Rick's firm about what we wanted to do, and I had been out at a meeting, and I came in late to the conference call we were having with Rick, and they started putting up things on the screen, and they showed us these beautiful like hand-drawn icons, and they came up with this, based on our kind of telling them our pillars and our key messaging, they came up with this slogan or this statement that says, what does it say?
Where industrial growth
meets exceptionally beautiful living. So we had gone through like some of our key things, but it's just beautiful to live here, we're rural, and it's scenic. But we have this great manufacturing base, and so they took all that information and turned it into this, what we think is a beautiful statement, where industrial growth meets exceptionally beautiful living. And I literally cried. And I wasn't pregnant, and I hadn't had a baby yet, so it wasn't because of hormones. I was that excited about what his firm put together, and so that's my testimonial for Rick Whittington, is that I think he was a great match for us and understood what we were trying to convey. And so I think, are pretty happy with this, but as with anybody, we have tweaks we can make. We never spend as much time as we'd like to on the website because we're answering RFIs and business prospects that call today and want to visit tomorrow, and sites and buildings updates and all those things that we all do. So I was, I don't know, smart enough or silly enough to get up here and let DCI do this live critique.
Really smart.
You were really smart.
No, I saw the site, so I did see it in advance. I didn't really do that much prep on it. So a lot of times I'll come in and I'll just do a quick look, and what I looked at right away, I went to start, locate, and expand, and I pulled up and I was looking to see, do you have all of that information that corporate executive says is key? And actually you do. I didn't dive into the pages yet, so I don't know. The only thing I saw here was like major employers. That was the one content gap. Just having a page on that, but I was like, oh my God, this is great. I don't feel that way a lot when I go on site, so I have to tell you, I got your site, and I was like, cool, this is awesome. And you have even like from a navigation perspective, Amanda's site does what it needs to do. Hey, this is if you're a site selector, if you're a local business, if you're a corporate executive, right away they know that this is their section. Target industries, we always want to have target industries, and I love that you have success stories on it. I don't know if in each of your industries, again, I didn't dive in, but if then the success stories pull through. So what I would say here, as I look at the industry page, this is great. You have advanced manufacturing. Let's see if you have some SEO up there. Advanced manufacturing, Augusta County, awesome. You have a testimonial and a quote right away. You have your sort of value proposition for advanced manufacturing. You have the companies, which is good. It's nice to have site selectors, corporate executives also want to see just overall major employers. So it's good to have it on the industry page, but then also just like one big one that's about your whole economy under the Start, Locate, Expand. And then two things I think you could add here that would be good. A download. Do you have a downloadable resource about the advanced manufacturing industry?
If you go to, let's see here, about facts and figures, if you go to that navigation tab, you have a resource, get a resources on the very top. And this is everything our office has ever done in a downloadable format. So our annual reports, any type of study we help with, like a Virginia dairy study, for example, or a career technical education study, anything that we put together, or other helpful how-to guides or rack cards, we all put it up here, so it's all downloadable.
My recommendation, in addition to having it there, make sure it's also on the industry page, so we don't have to force them to try to find it. And then also one of your faces. I know that you said two of you, you and
Yeah, if you go to About Us.
So, and it's awesome that it's there. It's good to have it on the industry page too.
Okay, on
On industry page, make sure they know if they're on the industry page, who to contact. Always, and you'll start to see that on sites is now almost every relevant page for doing business will have like contact so and so, and it's the face. So that's just minor tweaks from the content perspective. Making sure that the resources that are available for advanced manufacturing or for your industries also live on those pages. So you have the content. I think it's just a little bit of tweaking about where to find it. And then I ran it through a couple of our wizard tools. And this is a good one if you guys want to do this on your own for your own site. Website.grader.com. And that's website.grader.com. This is put on by HubSpot, I think. Yeah, it's HubSpot. So it's a really quick look, a really quick overview of how your site is performing. It doesn't go into the overall dev or tech about it, but it just lets you know, okay, where could we be better? So you see here from a performance standpoint, and performance means stuff like page speed. It means things like, is it, page requests, how big are your pages? Google does look at this sort of technical thing to help figure out where you should rank. So if the page requests are a little bit, you're getting a lot of requests, that makes your site typically a little slower, even though yours isn't that slow. So I think that's just something like, hey, to your development team, how can we make those page requests go down? The other thing I saw, you're responsive, which is good. SEO, you have SEO. So SEO, there are things like every website, this is called a page title. So when do you guys have 20 million tabs up like I do a lot on your site? Always. And it's like, well, what the heck? Where was that one thing I was looking at? I don't know. That's what those page titles are right here. So this says website grader, which this is for the website grader. So usually you keep a keyword in that. The meta description is like when you Google a page, and I'll show you right now. Google you. I'm sorry, I'm going Virginia. Economic development. So when you Google what you see here, the home page, this is your meta description, and this doesn't really rank with SEO, but it does let somebody like me, your user, know, hey, what is this page about? And the home page has a meta description, which is great. So let's see what else I saw. I think the other technical thing on the grader, this is going to work for me, is that security. Now sites need to be secure. So when you see the S at the end of HTTP. So that was just from a quick technical look, what we saw. And then from a keyword perspective, we use a tool called Moz Pro. And your site's ranking for 138 keywords, which is great. What you see here though is that this shows you where it ranks in Google and what word is helping Google know what the site's about. So 4 means that appeared in the 4th ranking. So do you guys know where you can hide a dead body? Does anybody know where the best place to hide a dead body is?
Page 2.
Yes, who said it? Say it.
Page 2 of Google.
Page 2 of Google is where you can hide a dead body, if you were wondering. So I think there's some, just from hiding no dead bodies, we could do some SEO work to make sure when people are searching your county or the region around your county, they're coming for the industries, for the workforce, and things like that. But overall, the site is doing great. You're right. I would have put a B too. Yeah. Amanda is amazing. So that's just a quick look at how you can grade your own site. The website .grader.com is a great one. Thank you, Amanda. You're awesome. You guys are lucky. We were going to do 2, but nobody raised their hand, and we're out of time anyway. So if you want me to grade it afterwards, we can have a quick talk about it, if that would be helpful. And just to wrap up, before we head into the next discussion, here are just a couple sites. And I think you guys are going to get all of these slides, right? So you'll have access to all of these slides. But if you ever need inspiration, check out all of these. There are a couple different ones that we have on a list that we keep running. If you feel like your site should be on our list of good websites, let me know. I love to have a running list of what everybody's doing in the industry. So there. All right, thanks, guys. Any questions? We can talk afterwards too, I guess, right? Because we don't have time. I'm looking at Julie. She's no time.